Welcome back and welcome to this edition of Fresh Perspectives. The gracious hostess here is Dr. Smitha Siddhanti. Her guest today is a brilliant and a dynamic gentleman by the name of Mr. Aneesh Chopra, who is actually no stranger to GTV. Come on close, let's take a look at this interview.
Hello, namaskar. Welcome to Fresh Perspectives. I am your host, Smitha Siddhanti. In life, we all make choices each day, and the choices we make open different doors for us, and each door takes us to different decision that influences not only how we grow, but how we impact the world around us. Today, I have somebody very special with me who has made choices and various choices from public sector to private sector to public sector, and has led that journey has led him to make a very significant impact at a national level. And somebody I'm very proud of, somebody I'm very good friends with, and have known him grow in this journey for the last several years. Aneesh Chopra, here he is with us. Aneesh's very short story is that he made a transition from a very successful corporate consulting career to the Chief Technology Officer of State of Virginia, and then at the national level at Obama administration, he was the Chief Technology Officer for the administration. And now he's poised to become the Lieutenant Governor of the State of Virginia in the upcoming elections in next few months. So in his very busy campaign schedule, he's made time to be with us and share his perspective. So Aneesh, welcome. And tell our viewers the larger story of who you really are, because something they would not learn as in your campaign spotlight, but also share with us not only your perspective and what makes you who you are.
Well, thank you so much for having me this morning, and it's a real pleasure to visit with all of you. As Smitha had said, I began a career in the private sector before transitioning into government, but the journey actually began many years earlier than that. Smitha, like many of our friends and family in the Indian American community, my father came because President Lyndon Johnson in 1965 allowed South Asians to immigrate.
Right.
So in 1966, my father came to study engineering at Villanova and eventually earned 3 patents and helped to design air conditioning systems, lifting our family into the middle class. But I'm really here, Smitha, because my parents and my grandmother more specifically believed that if I focused on education that I could live a better life. In fact, when I was in the first grade and the second grade, grandmother thought that I didn't have as much homework that I was supposed to, so she added math assignments to me before I could go out and play with my friends. So she focused my academic career around math and science, and that gave me a bit of a leg up, which ultimately led me through a career in investment banking and in graduate work at the Kennedy School at Harvard, where I studied public policy and analytics. I spent nearly a decade thinking about the intersection of technology and healthcare. Opportunities abound to make our systems work better, and I had the pleasure of joining at a firm called the Advisory Board Company, where we tried to unearth these best practices and ensure that they made their best journeys out into the hospitals and doctors' offices all across America. The journey for me, though, was really about what we could do at a much broader scale. As I looked at the opportunities for technology and innovation, I saw that there was an opportunity to create a bigger impact in the lives of everyday Americans. Governors Werner and Kane, and then President Obama, believed deeply that we could take full advantage of technology and innovation, and they'd invited me to participate in the public sector. Very briefly, with Governor Werner, I worked together to find ways to extend broadband access to rural parts of the Commonwealth of Virginia. With Governor Kane, we had the pleasure of redesigning the GED program so that adults who lacked a high school degree could connect to the jobs of the future. And with President Obama, we worked to usher in a new era of open and innovative government. So, for example, veterans coming home from Iraq and Afghanistan could connect with over 1 million job listings from employers who raised their hand and said, we want to make it easier for you to transition into the civilian life. This is the opportunity of today, and that's what's brought me to the journey that we're about to discuss on this show.
Perfect segue for you to tell us what makes you so right with all the experiences you had in different positions, right, for creating the jobs that Virginia really needs right now, with the sequestration, with the jobs in defense especially, that are going to be impacted, and other industries that are related to it. Virginia really needs to get that stronghold of jobs. And tell us, Aneesh, what do you think will you do? What would you do?
Thank you, Smitha. You know, the big priority as I travel around Virginia seeking this office is to hearing about, in neighborhoods all over the Commonwealth, the importance of job creation. People are concerned and anxious about what sequestration has meant. It's already having an impact in communities. Contracts are being constrained. Workers in the federal government who live in Virginia are undergoing furloughs. So the opportunity to strengthen our economy is the number one issue that I'm hearing. There are three things that I'm focused on to ensure in the short term and the long term Virginia is positioned so that our kids and grandkids can feel like they can stay in Virginia and live a better life.
Right.
First and foremost, Virginia needs to ensure that new businesses feel welcome and are capable of growing in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Over the last decade, Virginia has been known as the best state for business, best place to raise a family, and is the best managed state in the country. These accolades are important, but they're not enough to create the jobs and industries of the future. So the first and most important priority for me is to make it hospitable in Virginia for a new business to plant their flag and say, we want to give this community a chance to be a part of economic growth. Now, to me, Virginia's got some room for improvement. We're not even ranked in the top 20 states in the country for helping new businesses grow. My focus will be on ensuring those new businesses have the support that they need and the access to capital that they need to thrive. Second, we also need to think about the jobs and industries that don't even exist today. I am honored to serve as one of the advisory board chairs for a program called the Virginia Innovation Partnership, a coalition of Virginia Tech, the University of Virginia, and SRI have come together to form a partnership to say, let's look at all the research activity at the university level and in the federal labs, and let's find ways to bring them out into the market so they can create new industries. And I've had a pleasure of advising on this program for quite some time. We are now over 50 or so projects have been uncovered that have the potential to create new industries. Cybersecurity companies born out of research at George Mason. Professor Gupta, who's developed a new de-icing equipment for wings to make it easier for airplanes to move without having much delay. These new technologies and new industries will have the potential to create countless jobs. But third, probably the most important thing in job creation is ensuring that Virginia is home to a workforce that's ready for the jobs that don't even exist. If you take a look at the workforce in Virginia, we're in a strong place. We have the highest concentration of science and technology talent in the country. But even with that strength, if you look by the year 2020, we're going to be about 100,000 degrees short of having a workforce ready to meet the needs of the new jobs that will be coming. So I strongly believe we're going to have to do more to ensure that our young folks and adults can be able to connect through our higher education system and through industry certificates so that they are prepared to meet the needs of those jobs. No employer should feel like they have to wait too long to fill an important job that's critical to their growth because our Commonwealth hasn't done enough to make the workforce training system meet their needs. These are the priorities.
Now, given that, and given the fact that you just said about your own personal background, that your grandmother made sure you did the homework more than others. So the more demands we put on ourselves, the more demands we put on our education system, the more we expect from the children.
Yes.
Or the system itself will produce the kind of caliber that is needed. And so tell me a little bit about what your job as the CTO in the administration level and your focus on entrepreneurship with the technology and the entrepreneurship focus. How does that mix bring more of what it means, Aneesh means to this job of Lieutenant Governor?
Well, I bring a perspective on the opportunities for innovation to make the educational system work better. When I was in the White House, President Obama ushered in an open education data initiative. The idea being we should unlock all the data that we have available to understand what works and what doesn't in the educational system. We should empower parents and students with the ability to access their own assessment data so that they can establish their own paths to find mentorship or support services to make sure that they're on track to meet their goals. And we should work together with our state and local and nonprofit partners to form new products and services that don't even exist today to be able to help our kids be more successful. You know, the key to a school is to have a great teacher. When I was in the 3rd grade, because my grandmother had prepared me, Mrs. Brusheye saw when I entered the class that I was a little further ahead than others. She had the choice to put me right back in the queue with everybody else and sort of have me essentially get bored with material that I had already known, or, because she's a great teacher, she allowed me to continue my own path, differentiating the learning, if you will, and allowed me to continue that confidence that I could make a difference and kept my interest level. Great teachers need support. I strongly believe that we can introduce new ideas to help teachers work smarter, not harder. Ideas like the teacher internet, where a teacher today who's writing their own lesson plans can now use the advantages of the internet to find lesson plans from her peer or his peer teachers that have proven successful in other communities. We need new ideas on how to instruct math. You know, I had the pleasure of working with a program where boat builders can actually train kids to learn math. You can learn math by making boats. So these are the new ideas we're going to bring to life.
So technology and how it should help is what your focus is, how innovation and technology. Now, very quickly, I wanted to tell the viewers about your own personal journey. You have 2 very wonderful kids, a very lovely wife that is very active in the campaign trail with you. How are you balancing the whole personal? And tell quickly the young generation Indians why public service is such an important element.
Well, let me begin by saying my wife Rohini and our 2 beautiful daughters are very engaged in this political process. This is much about them as it is about me. And I look at my kids and I ask, will we leave them a commonwealth that's better, faster, and fairer? And fairer to me is one of the most important principles. You know, we're seeing in Virginia a bit of a challenge with women. Our political system today has made it harder for them to access their full rights, equal pay, and providing for them the opportunities for economic growth. I want to make sure that we have a fair system so that women, minorities, and immigrants can thrive in Virginia and not feel like they're neglected. For those of you that are out there thinking about a career in public service, I want you to know this. This country has made all of our lives better. For those who've immigrated to the United States, you've had the chance to live the American dream and to pass that to the next generation. I strongly believe your participation in the public sector is a chance to give back and to ensure that the next generation can be as successful as the current one. And together we're going to do it, not only in Virginia, but around the country.
And we will do it. And Aneesh, we wish you all the success. And thank you for sharing the perspective. And for those of us who have heard him first time, this was a real pleasure, and all the best in making the journey. And thank you all for watching. Hope we learned a lot for choices we make as we go forward, and especially for young people who are making every day the choice whether they go public sector or private. Here is your chance to hear from somebody who really has made that impact. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.